honestly, the cool thing about resistance training, if you are now like 60 or 70 and you forgot to lift weights, you're actually in great shape because you're going to see way better results than either of you or I do. Because it's called newbie gains. The most important thing is you can build muscle in your 50s and your 60s and your 70s and your 80s. In fact, we now know you can build muscle equally well in your 60s as you do in your 80s.
Yep.
And, I was doing my doctoral work at USC, and it was exercise physiology, nutrition, and aging. We had these like master level athletes in their 80s and 90s. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with them. They were amazing. So I think the most important takeaway is get started. And I always put people just start small. I have a whole protocol of how to get into this. Get started and then just stay consistent. So do the things you're willing to do, because if you're not going to do it consistently, it doesn't make any sense. And I really think the first place to start is just to start to track your steps.
Oh, it's a great idea. Yeah. Just make sure you're getting them in.
Well, the reason being is, let's say we said, okay, the first thing I want you to do is lift weights. Well, what we know is that most of the time, if you're not tracking your steps, if you start lifting weights, you'll start moving less. Our body is very much into homeostasis. So it actually doesn't serve you to do that. If you first go, I'm going to get my baseline steps up to that 8,000 a day that we know is really the thing that moves the needle, with the average right now at 3,000 steps a day. If all I started to do was go, okay, I'm going to start tracking and just work on this till I get consistent with 8,000 steps a day. Because when you're tracking it, you know what you measure and monitor, you can improve. You actually start to park farther away and take the stairs. Like, you actually do the things we always say to do. You'll do them if you're getting the little reward of looking at your app going, oh, look, I got more steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Dopamine.
Yeah. And then if you throw a little weighted vest on, all the better.
Oh my gosh. I was just off camera telling you about my back pain. I have a hard time with weighted vests unless I'm working out. I'll wear them working out, but I don't do well wearing them walking because of I have a curvature in my spine. I have a scoliosis, and
they also have a weighted hip.
That's what I need, because the vest kills me if I wear it and I use it for walking. Anyway, this morning, as I was getting ready for this podcast, Nick Horowitz had a study that he put on his Instagram breaking down, looking at weighted vests, and those who wore them it was an obese cohort that they did this in. They did low calorie and a weighted vest, or they just did low calorie. And once they removed the low calorie part and they put them back on a normal diet, the group that just did low calorie had weight gain. Of course, their weight came right back. The group that wore the weighted vest had continued weight loss, even though they went back to a normal calorie. And it was the bone. The study hypothesized it was the bone being an actual barometer of just the load on the bone was giving the body the metabolic boost it needed. Anyway, I thought that was fascinating.
So I think I have a couple theories there that of course there's no placebo, double blind, blah, blah, blah. All right. So first of all, it was interesting. I just read something else where they were going, there's no research to support weighted vests helping with bone mineral density. I go, you know what? There is no research to support aspirin takes away headaches either. So I'm not worried about it. It's obvious that if you're loading your spine, it's going to be better than not loading it. So I'm just going to go with that, because it's hard. Watching bone mineral density improve is kind of like watching grass grow. Yeah. But the other piece of it is, think about what happens as you're losing weight. Now, hopefully you're only ever focused on losing body fat, and we never, ever look at the scale, first of all, as a measure of self-worth or as a measure of overall metabolic health. We only look at body composition. Like, if we could just get rid of the regular scale, like, if that is my one piece, my legacy is getting rid of the freaking scale, I will die a content woman. However, if you think about it, when you lose weight, part of the way we control our resting metabolic rate is by how much we weigh, which is why we want more muscle, less fat, so we have better metabolic rate. But one of the ways you could offset that metabolic adaptation that happens as you lose weight is wear a weighted vest.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what this study was getting at, was the load on the bone. The body was being told that there was weight coming on, so it better upregulate its metabolic
rate. Let's burn more calories. It just makes it totally makes sense.
Yep.
You know, and there's actually like one gal I met had created this really cute little vest that was only like 5 pounds that people could just wear around like normal clothes throughout the
That's
day. I was
great.
like, yeah. So
Yeah, that's preferred. Honestly, I think that's preferred because I do, my world was in all orthopedic medicine. I mean, everybody who came into my clinic had some kind of musculoskeletal complaint and pain. And if it's spinal, if it's axial, and you're adding a vest to it, because I get messages from people all the time because they know I do talk about pain sometimes. So my audience will message me and say, I tried a weighted vest like you suggested, and my back is killing me, and I'm like, okay, so just be cognizant of that. But sometimes we just need to build up our erectors. Our erectors get
yeah,
fatty infiltrate from being deconditioned. That's the thing that people don't get is it's not just about metabolic health. It's not just about muscle. It's not just about bone. It's about the quality of your muscle and the fatty infiltrate that we get when we
which we've
become
got to have a way to
deconditioned.
look at like that new bone mineral test, the bone quality test I was telling you about. They did it for me, and I said, you know what, I really want you to be able to do, because they could tell your body composition as well as like when you can take this test and combine it with really being able to look at the quality of the muscle and then combine it with a grip strength test, then we got something. Like, why aren't we putting all of these things together so we can really tell what's going on? But back over to this. So if the first thing you did was just really start moving more, right, and tracking those steps, then once someone's got that down, that's where I start to put in some resistance training. And honestly, when you look at, I'm always looking at what's the lowest dose, what's the minimal effective dose. It's really 2 days a week of 30 minutes. And this is where I know you can build the same amount of muscle with a machine versus free weights, but I'm not bolted to the floor. Neither are you. So I look at it and go, I want to lift weights. And the first kind of weights I want to lift are just body weight. I want to do things that are going to transfer over to my activities of daily living. Because why are we lifting weights? We're lifting weights to improve insulin sensitivity, to, reduce cognitive decline. But we're really lifting weights to be able to also be super functional and not break a hip in life. And so at the very least, like we should, when we're 5 years old, learn how to do a squat. Like, think about the things we should learn as kids.
Well, I think we know how to do them when we're babies. We just forget. I mean, look at any toddler. They squat right down. I mean, beautiful squat patterns. And then we just lose it.
I know. I remember living in Japan, everyone would wait for the bus. First of
Squatted?
all, squatting.
Yes.
I was living in a part of Japan where I was not in Tokyo for a good part of it. I was in a place called Kochi, and the toilets were holes in the ground. You'd squat,
Yeah.
which is something to do after a nightclub in stilettos. I kept going, I'm going in, I know it. But, they would literally squat and wait for the bus.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see people outside. I'm like, what? This is wild stuff. And now I remember very early on in exercise physiology, when I was getting certified as an aerobics instructor, the dumb stuff they were telling us to do. They said, first of all, never extend your spine.
Yeah.
You should only do flexion. I go, well, how are you going to strengthen your back if you're only doing flexion? Your back will get weaker. But no, you could not do any kind of extension because it was going to be problematic. And they were very concerned about squats. And God forbid you ever drop your hips below your knees.
Yes. Yes.
Like, never do that.
And never let your knees go past your toes.
Right. It's just all this stuff you're like going, but in life, I'm pretty sure my hips are going to need to drop below my knees to get up off of something.